The loud clatter of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It becomes a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako Noli also does. Let's turn that down. Ominously startled, you feel suddenly something twist towards the direction of the noise. I had thought her used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here. Oh, hello, Sal. Oh, what's her voice? Oh, hello, Sal. Back again. It takes me a moment to respond. My mind's still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that hardly left my ear in the several days. It's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh, yeah, just returning some books I borrowed. She cast her eyes downward, presumably to the bin that dropped the book into. You're a very heavy reader, aren't you? It becomes a bit of a routine now, and passes the time at least. I wish I had free time to pass. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds, I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering that she has to work 2 jobs to support herself, I could see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for a job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as a counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage it. You're lucky being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university? Or doesn't she want to go to college or university? If she's asking, and then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess. I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require going to one, and my marks are good enough. It's more of a matter of how I'll pay to do so. University costs so much that I am having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses too makes it a lot harder. Yeah. Oh god. If you're reading this much though, this means you're doing well in school, right? Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe 1 or 2. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears generally brightened at the question. Anthropology. To be specific, I'm specializing in history, classical era, Athenian, civilization, and democracy. She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I agree. I guess even someone like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. That's good to hear. What? Alright, both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. Apologizing profusely, and quickly shuffling into the hallway as I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone. I glance at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer that looked out. Hello, this sounded Kai speaking. She'd pick up faster next time anyways. Guess who? It only takes a second to recognize the distinctive, deep and brusque voice. Hey, Misha, whoa! Didn't expect you to call me. Huh? You actually think I sound like her? Not at all, Kira. I don't really remember giving you my number though, so I thought I'd mess with you. Ooh, got her back. Oh, that? I got Lily to give it to me, not hard. She positively brims with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace, I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number though, given how close they are. So, what's up? You're free right now? I guess. Why? Can we meet me at the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff. Is that an invitation to a date? What? Of course not. She sounded suddenly crestfallen. Her previous teasing nature had instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. When do you want to meet? Kind of now-ish. Wait, right now? But it's... The dead sound suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she hasn't unceremoniously hung up. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the call-ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head. What the hell, Akira? Throwing a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lily's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Akira didn't expect me to be immediately prompt. Well, it only takes a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on a bench with a can of beer in her hand. Geez, this one has really good art. I like this. Really good pictures. The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or agreement. What's with that look? I need that come, you know. I knew you would. You're that kind of person after all. I lower my brow at her remark as she disposes of the can. Empty by the time I arrived and any metallic clattering rings out. Akira takes a seat on the old wooden bench, and I follow her lead. She seems to, she takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking, taking a large gulp. She seems to really like that stuff. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about. I heard from Millie that you asked about her family. They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, her tone sounds almost wistful. Idle curiosity, mostly. I have to admit, I never have guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives it a wry chuckle of amusement. I've heard that before, trust me. A small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead distantly. Aside from the occasionally elder couple, talking as they slow walk the meandering path in the old aging car, it's almost pleasantly quiet. She didn't tell you everything though, did she? It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland, she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again. It's always surprised me how devoted she is to her parents for all the good they did to us. The way she says it sounds like almost derisive. Alright. She gives a small sigh as if to quickly brush the feeling away. Why do you think they left us, Al? Why do I think they left? From what Lily told me, it was because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given that way your parents seem to live. So Lily went to a private school, and that's why she carries herself with the airs and graces of the upper class. Yeah, since the business in Inverness boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just the conclusion I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good-natured. You don't think they left for their career? I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt this place was kind of creepy, like it was an isolated hideaway where the proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. They probably just rue the fact that Lily wasn't old enough to be shoved there by the time they left. A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents and Yamaku. Lily's blindness is hardly something I could simply ignore for a high-class family attempting to keep up appearances. much less so lucrative offer is on the table. When a lucrative offer. Eventually, Kira gives a direct, with that word again, snort, her feeling coming to a head. Moving to secure her financial future with her new job posting. Even at the time, I hardly believed it. Not wanting to simply give an avenue for venting, I gently tried to steer the discussion. So, you stayed in Japan with Lily then? Either stayed with her or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather. What about Shizun's family? If your cousins, then. Our fathers hate each other. I'd been more than happy to tell them to go, screw themselves, and live with him anyway, but Lily wouldn't have wanted that. I also had an offer for the job then. So we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape and try to continue our lives as if they'd never left. So you just lived by yourself? Basically, Lily had school and I had my job. So we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling and her study, and having to do chores while I worked though, I can't help feeling like a failure. In the end, I tried to be there for her and screwed it up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child is ridiculous. So Lily and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lily largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her parent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived much of the time since my parents both worked, but that's just something else entirely. Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Sal. I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this? you always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Sal. Some people have to learn the hard way. She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed and distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. Well, that's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay the way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. I know where this is going. She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a nice long drag right about now, and look kinda cool. I want to respond to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in. I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much of my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly. I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle that acted like a personal victory for me. You're a good kid. You're a good kid, Sal. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice. She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last wig. It's just unfortunate that she doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it with a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When her folks told me that we were at their place, though, they also gave Lily someone to rejoin them in Inverness. No way. Her evasiveness when asked about her future, the awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, the uncharacteristic outburst of anger, all of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that reminisced about after Anako's birthday party, the same family that left her and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for near cornering Lily on what was bugging her. I never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home at Inverness. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family had summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted? Lily hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems that hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk this out. Context. I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lily's a strong person, Sal, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being an older sister. I think that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist. I've gotta go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lily about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lily's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of the burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. For the first time in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that, but at least I know I now have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Hurry, Lily. I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lily's voice at the deafening pounding in the rain. Even though I dislike playing her around, the situation calls for it. I turned forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seemed to be in grayscale. It really isn't rotten weather for summer, the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand. One of the very few times I've ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking at Lily, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine, the left gripping her retracted cane. The sword downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Iwaki, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, slowly using all our concentration just to avoid tripping over. Miss Al, do you know where we're going? Even she was reduced to shouting and tried to be heard over the combined noise of the wind and rain. The shot. The rest of my voice completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai. How far is it? It shouldn't be far from now. Quick. It wouldn't take long before I can call out to her once again. Looks like we're safe, but it's just up ahead. I quickly pull up to stop in front of the familiar exterior. The lantern outside still giving off a reliable glow, and wait for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell rings out when I hold the door open for her. A smile and a polite nod being rewarded before entering myself. I step in behind her and wipe my feet. Only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get in that much of in the way of patronage, and the day is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Someone by the bells ringing, a most expected person comes to greet us. Welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her mood is pretty hard, but it's nice to change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she's right herself again, then gets a better look at us. What happened to you? You both look. Her eyes drift towards the glass and the door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now, Elise. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Oh, jeez. Switching it up from the coffee is how I see. Right, coming right up. No coffee for Sal anymore. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget her orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down into my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into her cane seat beside her. For a while, I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping her rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listened to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily at least, I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together since I entered Maku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. This is the harder I try to second guess her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I'd ever really understand her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask her, though I very much want to avoid doing so. You seem quiet today, Sal. Really? You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I'd assume you have something specific you want to do. No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you. Is that so? Fine. There's one thing. A little grin finds its way into Lily's face, and knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It was just Akira and I were talking. Oh? What's with that tone? You two do seem to get on well, don't you? Well, I do think she's a pretty good person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like her. Cool. For a moment I tried to place her tone, the voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you? I'm not jealous. After teasing me over such a thing on her first date, I don't feel bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As we settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When you want to see your family in Inverness... wait. I'm just gonna search it up. Alright. Whatever. A while back she said, Akira told you about my family summons, hasn't she? Seconds tick by while I try to read Lily's face. An odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat confused. Here. Hugo tentatively slides out drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. As she walks back to the counter after a quick, polite nod, I realize the air between me and Lily is thick and her expressions are both somewhat pensive. Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times. I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you. It's not like I can't understand her concern over this. Lily's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feeling. She really doesn't deal well with being concerned on personal topics. I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you had figured it out eventually, but you're intentionally hiding this from me. How long were you planning to do so? As I said, I simply wanted more to think it through. More time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you. What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut. My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there. So, you're going. How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago. Some time. My frustration nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me even more than it should. For her to not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me, and after seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I can depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily. I'm sorry, I wanted to think you through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you, please. I know, Lily, I know. This is just really sudden. I guess this means that once you go, we'll be breaking up. For one of the few times I've seen since I met her, she's generally lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt, because of the fact that dawned on her when she became sure of her decision, but rather she appears genuinely unsure how to deal with the situation now that it's in front of her. We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days, after all. Even as she says it, the tone of her voice gives away that she doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Lily's far too imagined to be able to cope with the relationship with any kind of physical presence, and even I am, to an extent. All we would ever be able to reach each other would be the voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempts to try and connect what's happening in the future or the past seems to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just talked side by side, the precious times we spent with Anaka and Akira, the casual chatter we had during lunch times, the times we made love, the confession of our feelings to each other, all pointless. All just fleeting moments in our young lives. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? After a long, long silence hangs in the air between us, the noise of the other patrons drinking and talking, only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it. I'm sorry, Sal. A simple apology and no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask you the final question I have for her. When will you be going? I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be with less than a week. The beginning of the summer holidays? Just a little afterward, yes. Her tone is unusually slow and steady. Her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written on her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the by now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I had left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stared down under the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cool tea without complaint, her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be deep in thought, too. A strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of Shanghai having left. The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory's hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Sure enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji. Hey man, what's... Whoa dude, you look awful, I think. You okay? He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to go into it. It's late. Okay, that's cool. If you want to talk about it, here. I look at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji. Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right? Yeah, you're right. See ya. That's really cool. Kenji. I open the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. A solid thud to the door makes against the doorframe sounds out a final call for the life I'd led since coming to Yamaku. I just sat in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just, what should I do?